Greetings from William English Institute at SLIT. Today we are at a very different location. We are at Hilton Colombo to talk about different aspects of the industry and the different levels of the industry. Today we'll be talking about gender equality, performance management, efficiency, and multiculturalism. Also, very importantly, we are talking about the pre-opening experiences. Today we have very special and very own Miss Geethanjali Chakravarti Hoolan is to talk about all these things. Her motto is always hospitality is a happy business. So madam, how are you?
I'm very good, Kasam. Thank you very much. And thank you very much for the opportunity to be a part of this talk show.
We are so honored to have you here
Thank you.
to talk about your prospects, about this industry, and about your career. So, madam, just to begin the talk show, we would like to hear your career, how you began, in what year, and how long you have been in industry, and where you have been, and things like that.
All right. So I started in hospitality in 1989. Having done my A-levels, I actually wanted to become a doctor. And then what brought me into hospitality is one of my visits to the Lanka Oberoi with my grandmother.
Okay.
And she was able to convince me to join hospitality, but I just wanted to be sure that it was the right industry for me. So I started working in one of the hotels down south for a period of 6 months, and I liked the industry.
This is before hotel school or with the hotel school?
Before hotel school.
Before
Hotel school, and then having worked for 6 months in the industry, I was convinced that I liked the industry. So I decided to go to the hotel school. And
but 1989, that's a very difficult time in the country. So much of riots happening, both parties, both sides of the country. And how did that feel to you? Was it?
It was not so tough because the hospitality industry was doing well,
Yeah.
in spite of all the difficulties. So I didn't see it as a challenge at that time, and I enjoyed my time at the hotel school because in between our courses we had to go to the industry just to get the flavor of as to what happens in the industry. And then I was quite convinced that I have chosen the right industry.
So you are very, very significant in hotel school career, hotel school history rather, because you got two specializations: hospital, front office, and housekeeping.
My first preference was for front office, but then it was important to know both areas very well. If you wanted to rise to a position of a rooms division manager, and later on, like my intentions were to become a general manager. So I knew that, like, having specialized in both areas, that it will open up better opportunities for me.
Okay. So, but you were the most outstanding graduate of your graduation.
Yes, I was.
How many awards you won?
If I remember correctly, it was about 11 awards.
All 11 awards? 11
There
out
were
of
about
11?
13. I think out of 13, I managed to get 11 awards.
So, talking about the hotel school life back then, so they would like to hear your hotel school life. Is it fun, or is it just moving, or how does it work?
No, it was enjoyable, and it was fun as well as a lot of work, I could say, because back in school we studied in singular medium, and then all of a sudden you got to switch to English medium. That was quite a challenge, but overall I enjoyed my time at the hotel school, learning new things, and like especially when I did cookery, like we were all very excited because cookery was not open at that time for female students, and that was my last basic.
Okay.
So although I wanted to do the first basic as cookery, I was not allowed to do so. I had to start with reception and then moved on to housekeeping, restaurant and bar service, and my final basic was cookery.
So now you are a GM at Hilton Yala, right? So this your journey is quite extensive and it's very impressive, right? Then after hotel school, what really happened? And
After hotel school, I worked in Sri Lanka for a couple of years, and then having worked for about 4 years, I went to Yemen
Okay.
and worked for Movenpick and then returned to Sri Lanka after a short while because I had a young daughter at that time, and you can imagine how challenging it would be for a mother to take a little daughter and live in a country where there are no relatives and there is no help. So I came back to Sri Lanka, and then I joined.
That's 1999.
No, that was in 1997.
Seven.
I returned to Sri Lanka in 1997. Then I worked for Taj for a period of 1.5 years. And then I joined the hotel school as a senior lecturer, where I worked for 5 years before I went
So this
back
is
abroad.
this is another area that I wanted to touch upon. So Mrs. Geethanjali Chakravarti, she's very different. Usually we find people those who are practitioners. She's a practitioner, also she's an academic. So that's very interesting. How did you fit yourself into academic career at hotel school?
Initially, because I didn't have any experience in teaching, it was challenging. But as time went by, I realized the teaching came naturally to me, and then my work experience actually helped me to teach students to understand hospitality better. Because it was not only theory, I always used practical examples and experiences when I taught the students. I didn't see it as a challenge.
It because she was my first lecturer at hotel industry and also at hotel school. So I knew how it was and how she is doing things like that. It's totally different. Her teachings, techniques and things like that. She never looks at a paper when she's doing lectures. She never looks at paper. Am I correct?
I used to prepare myself.
Yeah.
Nothing came naturally.
But it's all your experience.
Yeah. So mostly I try to incorporate practical experiences so that the students understood the theory better.
And she's one of the toughest lecturers that we had it at hotel school, and she was kind of extremely tough, right? When it comes to discipline, when it comes to work, she's so methodical, and also she's very tough in it. So that's not you. That's not you in natural. Is it just because you are teaching, or just to keep people in the right track?
Discipline is important in the industry. So that could have been one reason why you felt that I was tough. But I honestly don't think that I was too tough.
You were a mother, you were a friend to us, then you were a lecturer to us, also a sister. It's different compared to all other female lecturers who are in the hotel school. You are totally different from that.
Thank you, Kasum.
That's totally different environment we all went through. So madam, thereafter, so hospitality, hotel school.
Then I wanted a change after about 5 years. I got an opportunity to go to the Maldives.
You became a senior lecturer when you were at 29.
I was 29 years at that time. And then I went to the Maldives, worked for about 1.5 years. And then I moved to Como Hotels and Resorts, where I worked for almost 10 years. And but I started in Bhutan.
Okay.
And then moved to the Maldives for a couple of years, where from the position of executive housekeeper, I rose to the position of rooms division manager, and then became the resident manager. And back in 2011, I had the opportunity to work for the Como Group. So that's what took me to Singapore, and from there to thereafter to all other Como hotels.
How many countries have you served so far?
Approximately 8.
8 countries, very interesting. So it's all in Southeast Asian region, is it?
No, I was briefly in London.
Okay.
And the Caribbean.
Okay.
And also I did a pre-opening in Miami.
Okay. So it's almost in the globe itself.
Yes, mainly Southeast Asia, because I was in Thailand, Bhutan, and then a couple of years in the Maldives and in Bali.
So then you were coming to Sri Lanka in 2015, and if I'm not mistaken.
Early 2015, I
early
returned to
2000.
Sri Lanka.
Yeah, then you were working with Shangri-La, reopening property.
Yes, I was under Shangri-La Projects for almost 2 years.
So then from there onwards, in Sri Lankan experience at the management level, senior management level.
Yes, at Shangri-La I was handling their procurement.
Yeah.
I was their consultant director of procurement, and then I moved to Uga Escapes. I worked for their flagship hotel in Tirapane, close to Anuradhapura, as the general manager.
Okay.
For a period of 2 years and 9 months.
All right.
Before I joined Hilton.
No, why I took your profile, because it's very interesting. When you were working at Uga, you have won nearly about 7 awards for the hotel.
Hotel won 7 awards.
Yeah, hotel won 7 awards. One for the small hotels in Asia, luxury hotels in Asia, services in Asia, romance in Asia, luxury hotels in Sri Lanka, best services in Sri Lanka, again small hotels, again romance. Didn't you find it as a challenge?
No, these were some of the few awards that we won.
Yeah.
Those were actually the TripAdvisor awards.
Yes.
But additionally, we have won many awards during the time that I was the general manager there. It was not challenging. It was, I don't see it as a challenge because winning awards and doing well, excelling in whatever I do together with my team was my passion. So probably that's what brought all these awards to Lagallo.
So now 2019 and 2020, it's a very remarkable year in your career because you have won 3 awards for pioneering women leadership. You can talk about those 3 awards that you won. One is in
Yeah.
Mumbai, in Colombo, and
There
again
are 2
Colombo.
are in Sri Lanka and 1 in Mumbai. So the first award, Kasun, was recognizing the 50 top women leaders in Sri Lanka, and I was recognized as the a woman leader for hospitality, where the award ceremony was organized by CMO India in Sri Lanka.
Okay.
And that was the first. And then second award was where I was recognized as the woman leader of Sri Lanka in hospitality. I won a gold award, which was organized by Women in Management. And the third award was award ceremony was actually in Mumbai, and where again I was recognized as one of the pioneering women leaders. And that was after I joined Hilton.
So now coming to the story of Hilton, this hotel is not been opened. It's Hilton Yala. We are yet to see the property in next year. So she has done 7 pre-opening properties, different part of the country. It's your turn to talk about your pre-opening experience now.
Okay, this is actually my first pre-opening in Sri Lanka.
Sri Lanka.
But I have done pre-openings.
But you were with Shangri-La team as well.
Shangri-La, but that was not in operations. I was in projects.
Projects, yeah.
So the experience is totally different from operations to projects
Okay.
because the kind of work that happens is very different. But I was in operations handling pre-openings in, the first one was in Bhutan, and subsequently I went back 4 years later to do the second hotel opening, and 2 pre-openings in the Maldives and 1 in Miami and 1 in Phuket. So altogether, while I was with Como Hotels and Resorts, it was about 6 pre-openings.
With this one,
And
7, no?
With this one, like if I don't talk about Shangri-La because I was handling projects, then the
Projects, yeah,
operations,
yeah.
then this will be the 7th
7th
pre-opening.
pre-
Yala
yeah.
Hilton.
So now I like to come to the core discussion point. I want you to talk about women in leadership and also the multiculturalism and performance management and things like that. So let's move one by one because I really focus your career as one of the role models and pioneering women in hospitality. So how do you see these women in the leadership per se?
Right, let me start with, before I talk about women in leadership, let me talk a little bit about equality, Kasan.
Okay, sure. No
Now,
worries.
equality in any workplace should start with recruitment because it should happen at the recruitment stage. Something that we see is that there is job segregation in the industry. In my opinion, there shouldn't be any job segregation. Women should be given the opportunity to work in any department they like to work, because I strongly believe that sometimes women can do perform equally as
Equal,
men,
yeah.
or sometimes even better.
Okay.
Because there are certain positions where women
Why you
can,
call it even better?
there are certain positions, like if you take a position of a guest relations executive, and if a customer comes with a problem to a male guest relations executive, a female guest relations executive, the way the customer would react would be completely different. If it is a male guest with a female employee or a team member, he'll be a bit more subtle. So there are certain positions which are more suited for a female, like positions like in HR or a PA to a general manager. But I don't see any reason why there should be segregations, but women should be allowed to work in any department.
So you are in an industry of men-dominated one. So how do you overcome? How do you see these things? Because especially countries like us, the women opportunities for women, it's not very open. Being Sri Lanka is the first country to produce first female prime minister to the world, but still we have this little taboo. Hospitality is not for women, and that's not for a right job path and things like that. But still, you have overcome all these challenges, now have come to the top level to run an organization. So how do you really see these things?
Okay, in general, women have a lot of barriers in getting into hospitality because of the, let me say, due to cultural and social perceptions of people, and sometimes it could be due to various kinds of personal factors. Because women usually after marriage or after childbirth, they decide to stay at home and to be a housewife and look after their children, and it also could be due to organizational factors, because some of the companies believe that they should give more opportunities to men than female employees, mainly because male employees are able to put in more number of hours than a female employee. I don't see it as a capability of a man. It's just because females, it's in our culture, females are expected to take more responsibility back at home, taking care of the children or parents, or so that could be one reason as to why females can't put in more number of hours at work. So eventually the hotels also would prefer to have someone who works long hours, so the opportunities are offered to men. In comparison to women.
But in the context of hospitality industry, we need this female touch and, you know, to give the going into details and things like that. So we really need the women touch in it. So you are the first Sri Lankan female GM who's working for an international chain. Right? That's you have basically you have gone through everything and you have come to the pinnacle of your this thing. So again, going back to this the corporate world now, not from the hospitality, but from the corporate world. As a corporate woman, how do you look at industry of the equality?
Like in the corporate world, like lots of hotels, like the chain hotels and the global brands have taken a lot of initiative to encourage women to get into the workforce. But again, because of the barriers that I spoke just a while ago, women participation in hospitality is very, very low. And recently I was reading a report, Women in Hospitality, Leisure and the report for 2020, which very clearly indicates that only 25% of the women in hospitality are in leadership roles.
It's in Sri Lanka or in
Globally.
In global.
But globally, there are 54% of women in hospitality. So actually, the women participation in hospitality globally is more than male. But the number of people who rise up to management position is very, very few.
Okay.
It's basically because all these barriers, and research basically says there is pay disparity. Males are paid 11 to 25% more than a male for the same position. And also when it comes to promotions, males are considered over females. But I cannot say that it's the same for Sri Lanka. And apparently I'm doing a research on women employment, and
that's your master thesis?
That's my master thesis. It's on women employment and their career advancement. So probably once I complete the research, I'll be able to tell you whether the same factors apply to Sri Lanka as well.
This is hospitality industry you are doing, yeah?
Yes, hospitality.
Right. So I want to take this discussion to another avenue, because the pre-opening, hotel pre-opening, it's not an easy task. It's a mammoth task. You have so many things to consider. You have a pre-opening, then you have soft opening, then you have grand opening. So all these things, all three stages you'll have to go through. It's like you work in a project. It's like you work on the site. So now from that point, how do you really work towards to achieve goals?
Okay, planning is number one, Kasun, when you do a pre-opening, and the coordination is very important, because at the stage of pre-opening you'll be working with a project team. So maintaining a very good relationship with the project team and coordinating all what happens at the site is very, very important as a general manager, to have an overall picture about what's going on site. And then nearing the pre-opening, it's very important to have your checklist, critical parts in place with proper timelines. And the project team has to give you sufficient information so that you're able to plan effectively. And then the next thing is to hire the right people, because pre-openings are challenging, but at the same time it's very interesting.
It is
because it's very different to working in a hotel which is already in operations. So having a team which is very knowledgeable is important, because We have to order OSNE. We have to ensure that the hotel
What
is
is the name?
operating equipment.
Okay.
Everything like now, operating hotel will have all those in place. Somebody else would have done the work for you.
Yeah.
But here, you got to do everything yourself, from getting quotations, procuring items, setting par levels, getting inventory. So all that is a lot of work. So you need to have a team which is very, very knowledgeable and experienced.
So now you are in dry zone, not in Colombo. Isn't it a challenge to you? I know you like to take challenge and you want to pioneer from that.
Like challenging in terms of the opening or challenging in terms of the
Pre-opening. Pre-opening
It would
and
be a challenge because
environmental, economic factors.
We'll
and
be
things.
based in Colombo
Yeah.
until such time we take over the hotel officially from the project team. So most of the work will happen in Colombo.
It's quite volatile.
And obviously, Hilton being an international brand will
Yeah.
be supported by the hotels which are already existing, like
Existing,
the Colombo
yeah.
Hilton, the Hilton Colombo Residencies, and Veera will be Doubletree by Hilton will be opening very soon in Veeravilla. So we'll have 3 hotel teams supporting us when it comes to the Hilton Yal opening.
So now I want to hear from you because you have vast experience in multicultures and multiculturalism, also diversity. So how do you see this industry in multiculturalism and diversity?
I could say diversity is something that's very good in hospitality because it's a global industry where we serve people from different cultures. When you have like people with different diversities, they bring in different skill levels, talents to the workplace. So it improves productivity and the performance of the team members, which gives a better experiences to our guests. So having people from different cultures is very, very important because it also helps us to understand each other better and learn to respect other cultures, and it eventually creates better teamwork.
Good point. You are talking about teamwork. Now, when you live in Tirapane, Ulagalla Valauva, people call you a mother, Amma, right? So, Amma is leaving us. So, how do you gain that trust, the credibility?
How do you know all these cousins? Yes, I think wherever I work, I'm very close to my team members, and I know everybody by their names.
Yeah.
I know their likes and dislikes, and I also know their strengths and weaknesses. And I treat everybody like, and especially when I'm out working in a resort, I'm away from home. So my hotel becomes my second home. And to be very honest, Ulagalla Valauva was my second home and it was my second family.
So you did become a mother to not only to Sri Lankans but also to Maldivians and other nations. Also, they still call you and to get certain advices, right? So how do you work with these performances where basically they are performing? That's why they want your support. So how do you see these performance evaluations and things like that with them?
So what I usually do is, in hotels there is performance appraisals which are being done once a year or once in 6 months. I don't believe in doing appraisals once in 6 months or once a year.
Okay.
My department heads get constantly appraised.
Yeah.
I evaluate them on a monthly basis because they're being given goals to achieve. Based on those goals, they get evaluated every month end. They have the opportunity to get to know what their weaknesses are and what their strengths are. So they could work on their weaknesses on a monthly basis.
Okay.
So when it comes to 1 year, gradually they have understood what their weaknesses are and they become very strong in the areas that they were already weak. So that helps us to build trust, and then I communicate to them on a daily basis. On a daily basis, I communicate with all of them, and I lead by example. I try my best to do what is right, and I believe in my team. I hire the right people, and I entrust them with certain responsibilities, and I don't micromanage.
Okay.
Because
That's
that
very
brings the
very
best
important point. Yeah.
in a best of people when they're not being micromanaged, because I'm only a facilitator or just a person to guide them. I want them to perform. I never had a number 2 in most of the places that I worked. My department heads were number 2 in their own respective areas.
Yeah.
So everybody was given responsibility. I had trust in everyone that they would do a good job, and I was never disappointed.
But certain points you have to make very drastic decisions. How do you make it without hurting them? You have to hurt them at one point. They're doing a wrong thing. They'll get it corrected. sometimes it may lead up to firing or things like that. So it's very difficult. It's very sour.
It's done in the same manner.
Yeah.
So for me, when I have to give credit to someone, I do that. But if I have to reprimand someone for any wrongdoing, depending on how severe the situation is, I have taken drastic decisions which could have hurt people's feelings. But anyway, if the work requires me to do so,
We'll have to do it.
I have done it.
So the next area we want to touch upon is all about this the policies. Organizations mostly they run with policies or without policy. Do you see the policy evaluation, whether it's process driven or it's people driven, or how do you see that? Is summative or in theoretical terms we call it summative or formative. So how you want it to be impact, or you want it to be just
Policies have to be there in any organization. Policies will drive people to it will guide people to do the right thing, but there are certain times that we may have to be flexible
with the policies?
with the policies. And if you take
Does organization help you to do that?
you need to have a discussion with the policy makers, because policies have to be adapted sometimes depending on the location, depending on the caliber of the team members that you have, especially depending on the location, because a city hotel will function totally differently to how a resort would function.
Okay.
In a city hotel, the team members will come to work, they'll go back home. And in a resort hotel, the team members will come to work, they will live within either the hotel premises or just outside the hotel premises. So the policies to guide their behaviors will be totally different. Policies cannot be like copied from one place to another. It needs to be adapted to the location, and sometimes we may have to be flexible on certain policies only if it allows. Especially when it comes to safety, security, we cannot compromise. We got to stick to the policies. But other than that, a certain amount of flexibility is needed when dealing with policies. But policies are important to guide people.
When it comes to hoteliering, these two words are very important for us: effectiveness and efficiency, because we work with people, also we serve people. So everyone looks for efficiency and effectiveness, especially this part of the world, South Asian region. We don't get much people work towards their efficiency and effectiveness. But in hospitality, in hoteliering, we need it. How do you see this as the learning curve point of view?
Okay. To be efficient and effective, you need to have a right team, or the team that's people who can perform well. So again, I could say that it starts at recruitment. It's very important to hire people who are knowledgeable and who have the right attitude, because hospitality is all about having the right attitude
And the skill.
Right? Sometimes skills you can teach them, but attitude is something that you can't teach. But sometimes, although it's difficult, you can change attitudes of people. So as long as you have the right skills, the talent and the attitude, and of course the knowledge, any organization can perform efficiently and effectively.
So now coming back to our other areas, now we talk about so much of technical things about the industry and how the industry goes and what it is all about. Now I wanted to hear to talk about my institute. I want to hear your impression towards us at William Anglis Institute.
Yeah, I've had several encounters with William Anglis. I think the first was
Good or bad encounters?
All very good, I could say. It's not because I'm talking to you, cousin. My first encounter with William Anglis was a couple of years ago, when I was invited for a student practical, a dinner practical, where you all organized a wedding. I was very impressed, and I didn't see any lecturers guiding the students. They took ownership, they took leadership, and they organized the whole event independently. And I was very impressed with that event, and I enjoyed the event very much. And I remember staying till very late that evening after dinner. And then a couple of things that happened this year. I was touched by like many things that you all organized. 1st of January, I remember you in my office with a greeting card, and then I was invited for the graduation, the way we were welcomed and how we were treated at the event. And surprisingly 1 week later a letter was sent thanking for being or attending the graduation. And every special event or a special day or a special occasion, you appeared in my office either with a greeting card or a bottle of wine at times, right? So these are things that people don't do often, and they don't maintain close relationships with the industry personnel. And the most importantly, when you invited me to dinner one day, I was wondering why I was invited to dinner, and I didn't know, but I obliged. I came to dinner, and your colleague did ask me just before dinner whether he could take down certain notes, and I said yes. And the dinner was all about to find out the expectations of industry personnel from your institute, like, so that when you choose students to follow a course, you chose the right person with the right attitude, with the right qualifications, with the right talents, so that you could give industry what the industry is looking for. Everything what you do is thought about with the best interest of the industry in mind.
We are deeply touched at William English Institute at SLIT to hear from you as a pioneer that we are doing the right thing at the campus. It's all because we have to produce the right product to the industry, because this industry is always showbiz, and it's always to work with people to give the satisfactions to our customer. So we have come to the last bit of the talk show now. I would like to hear your voice, your opinion to the industry, to your friends, and also to graduates, young graduates. What do you want to say?
Okay, hospitality is ever evolving. It's an industry where people serve people. If one wants to work in the hospitality industry, they have to be extremely passionate about what they do and be able to deliver what the industry wants, what the customer expects. So I won't say it's a easy industry to work in, but as long as you're passionate, one can go a long way in the hospitality industry.
Today episode is very special to us. We were in a different location. Usually we are at the campus. Now we are at Hilton Colombo. We're talking about industry. We were talking about the equality. We were talking about the performance evaluation, the policies, effectiveness and efficiency. And also we were talking about the pre-opening. So we had very special and very own Mrs. Geethanjali Chakravarti Holland to talk about all these things. We shall meet up with another episode at a different location. Thank you very much for joining with the talk show.